Hello, guys. I thought I would just bite the bullet and go for this. I'm planning on making a it'll be a series of sorts where I show you guys kind of how to start out in the game and what to work towards as you get through the game. So it'll explain as we go on. It will kind of be per master rank, but obviously as we get through the levels, it'll be so it'll slow down quite a bit because I'm not going to rank up from master rank 19 to 20 in a video. But I'll get there. We'll work through a series and see what we can do. For now, the very first choice of the game. Most people watching this will have already made this choice, so it won't matter. But there's the three Warframes you can pick from: Excalibur, Mag, and Vault. There is kind of a quote unquote better option for early game players, which would be Excalibur. Out of the three, Excalibur is the easiest one to mod. It doesn't take much work at all. And you only need a certain few mods to make him pretty decent for early game content. For end game content, though, Vault and Mag are a lot stronger. A lot of people hate on Mag, and that's fair enough. Everyone likes their own frames. But I'd recommend you pick Excalibur for the start. If you want to pick another frame, you're more than welcome to. But I'd definitely recommend you pick Excalibur to make your life a bit easier at the start. But Excalibur, his abilities are he has a slash dash where he slashes to enemies and attacks them. He has a radial blind where he presses his 2 and then he blinds enemies around him. His third ability shoots out javelins around him, which is really strong. He slams the ground and shoots javelins out. His fourth ability is a giant big blade that would he can summon and then attack enemies with the blade and also shoot projectiles out of the blade. And then there's Mag, who her first ability will pull enemies. So she can use it and drag enemies towards her. Her second ability is like a bubble. Enemies get sucked into the bubble and bullets get sucked into the bubble. So you can just simply shoot into the bubble and kill enemies. There is her third ability is called Polarize. It's a big dome that kind of expands out. It hits enemies with armor and shield. It will, if it's strong enough, it will strip them of their armor and shield and it will damage them. It won't damage enemies with health though, so when you come across enemies called infested, it won't work very well against them because very few of them have armor. Her fourth ability is called Crush. It picks enemies up, crushes them in the air, and then slams them back down to the ground. It can do lots of damage, but again, you need some decent mods to make it worthwhile, which is why I wouldn't recommend her as an early game character. And then you've got Vault. So his first ability is a little shock. You shoot it at an enemy and it can chain to other nearby enemies. His second ability is speed. So you can speed up you and teammates that are close enough to you and use the ability. So you can run faster, you can also attack faster, and I believe you reload faster, but don't quote me on that one. I've not played Vault much. His third ability is a shield. So it's quite literally as it says, it's a shield. You can just place it down. You do more electric damage shooting through the shield. And you can also pick up the shield if you are playing as Vault and walk around with the shield. It gets smaller when you pick it up, but you can pick it up and use it as a mobile shield. His fourth ability, it basically you shoot out electricity all around you, and the higher your range, the more it will chain. So it'll hit an enemy. It's like your first ability. It'll hit an enemy and chain to other enemies, but this ability also stuns enemies and will damage them over time, which is he's one of the stronger what's called a nuke frame. I mean, it's kind of in the name. Nuke, he just destroys everything around him. But that's your three choices. Again, I'd recommend Excalibur, but it's completely up to you what you want to do. I'm not going to show you me playing through the whole tutorial or changing my settings. But there is parts I'll go to with the weapons of choice, which ones I'd recommend over other ones, and why I'd recommend them. The first one being the primary weapons here. So when you get to this container, there's two types of weapons. You've got the Braton, or sorry, no, it's not primary, tell a lie, it's melee, my bad. You think I would have rehearsed this. So you got melee, so you got the Scana or the Mark 1 bow. Out of primary, secondary, and melee, these two weapons are the only ones I would tell you just to pick your preference, because both melee are kind of similar in damage. So if you prefer range, go for the Mark 1 bow. If you prefer speed, and go for the Scana. So you'll get a choice of two of those. Just pick up one that you like. And then again, it'll just teach you how to move and stuff. We'll skip onwards now, and next you'll get the secondary weapons, and we will. I'll recommend which one to pick there. Now that we're on to secondary weapons, you've got the choice of the Lato or the Mark 1 kunai. The Mark 1 kunai is throwing knives, silent, enemies won't hear it, but it's really hard to aim because it's not what's called hit scan, whereas the Lato is just a pistol. It's not silent, but it's hit scan. If you don't know what hit scan is when you look directly at something, no matter the range, as soon as you shoot, it will hit that target as long as your crosshair is on it. Projectile, you've got to lead your shots, so you've got to aim in front of the target because the weapon or the bullet has a travel time. So I definitely recommend the Lato to begin with, the little pistol, just because it's easier to use and it does actually do kind of good damage compared to the throwing knives, which can be a pain in the ass sometimes. Alright, we'll move on to the primary weapons and I will see what we can recommend you. Here we have the primary weapons. So again, it's a similar choice. You've got a bow, which is the Mark 1 Paris, or you've got the Mark 1 Bratton, which is just an automatic rifle. Again, I'd recommend the Bratton just because it's a hit scan. And the bow is actually stronger in this scenario. Obviously, it's single target weapon, but the Bratton it's easier to use. If you want to use the bow, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to listen to anything I'm saying here. This is more just recommendations to make your kind of Warframe start as smooth as possible. Again, most of you will have already been through this, so this first video, maybe the next couple videos probably won't be applied to you much, but if I just go from start to finish, it'll make it easier. So the Bratton I definitely recommend, easier to use and it's hit scan, and you can just hold your fire button and shoot 60 bullets, so it's a lot easier. Okay, so when you get to this first screen, you'll see this daily tribute screen. So there's a reward every day, and then as you'll see here, when you hit the 5-day milestone, you'll get some extra rewards. But normally it's every 50 days, so you'll hit one at 50, 100, 150, so on and so forth. This is just gained every morning. It's 1 p.m. BST, but it depends on your time zone. But it's kind of in the morning-ish. It does not reset, so if you get it one day and then don't play a Warframe for a couple of days and come back, it won't reset back to day one, so you don't have to worry about making sure you log in every day. Just play the game as you normally would and you'll get the reward each time. There is certain rewards you can only get from logging in, so if you want the better rewards, maybe try to keep on top of logging as much as you can, but don't try to make it a job. It's meant to be a hobby, so just take your time and you'll get through it, not a problem. I would recommend as well here, when you get enough money to buy that Bratton, I will buy it later on, I'll show you, because the Mark 1 weapons are not great at all. So the Bratton is just a stronger version of the Mark 1 Bratton. It shoots faster. I think it has a little bit less in the magazine, but it's still much stronger. So I'd absolutely recommend buying that as soon as you can. Now that we're in our first mission, I will kind of explain to you roughly what you need to do. So one thing I absolutely recommend is, especially start in game, like really, really early game, is to destroy all containers you find. Don't go out of your way to find them, but any containers you find, destroy them. The resource grind early game is horribly slow, so if you can do this while just casually working your way through missions, you'll be able to get some more resources easy, and you don't have to go out of your way to farm specific resources. You'll see as well here, I'm just showing a Kubro den. Try your hardest to destroy those until you get a Kubro egg. I will show you when I get one so you know what to look for. Because there is a quest you get later on called Howl of the Kubro, which you need a Kubro egg for. So there's a need to get one as soon as you can, so you don't have to worry about it in the future. It's not a common drop, but if you just destroy all the hives, the nests, you will get one sooner or later. Now that you've completed your first few missions, you'll see that you'll get some new mods. So for example, I got Continuity and Intensify and Stretch. There's also Redirection and Vitality, which you'll get pretty commonly. The Warframe mods are really useful. So you won't be able to equip them for a while. You need to complete some quests first. You need to unlock the mod section. Like here, once you unlock the mod section, you can then actually go and equip mods and upgrade your mods. So I I'd recommend against, I made a mistake here because I was just rushing ahead. I'd recommend against upgrading any mods at the current minute in time. Just keep all of them at the base rank, because the problem is the higher rank you make them, the higher level your weapon needs to be in order to equip them. And since you're just starting out, your weapon's not going to be leveled at all. So you can see me leveling a couple things here or there until I run out of resources. And then I go to try equip them and find out that half of the things are too high level for my equipment, because I'm an idiot, so I can't equip the damage mod on rifle. But there is the damage mod on the pistol I can equip, and then same with the melee I should be able to. Oh no, I can't equip that either because I'm an idiot. So again, I'd advise against upgrading for now. When it comes to your Warframe, especially early game, I'd recommend just putting on health and shield mods. Shield first, health second. Just because shield can recharge, health can't. So early game, you want as much as possible to stay alive. But your shield early game is really useful. It's one thing you want to keep up as much as possible, but as you get near the end game, it's actually the opposite. You want as little shield as possible. There is a mechanic called shield gating, which I'm not going to get into in this video because it is not a mechanic you need to know about at this current minute in time. It's more an end game mechanic, so don't worry about that, but just try to bump your shield up as much as possible. And then again, work through the quests. If you go to your nav, I'll show you here once I go to navigation. If you go to your nav, and then if you actually click on that bit at the top, it will take you to your current quest, and you can lead the way. After you've done kind of the tutorial quests, it then just throws you into the deep end. From that point, just work through the junctions. Again, I'll show that when I get to it. But just work through these quests, and then again, just keep an eye out for containers. Destroy any containers you find. Get lots of resources, especially new roads on Earth, because new roads are one of the rarer resources that you need a lot of things. You need for a lot of things early game, so just keep an eye out for that. Here we have your first boss fight. So this is when you fight Vor for the first time, Captain Vor. He is a pretty simple boss, to be honest. As with most other bosses, if they have a head, aim for the head. You do more damage, so just kill them faster. I'd recommend trying to save as much energy as you can when you come to fighting him. Because with Excalibur, for example, he has 3 phases, so you take down a third of his health and then he spawns like 3 or 4 enemies. With Excalibur, you can just use your third ability and kill all the enemies in one go, as you'll see in a minute. And then you kind of got to struggle for more energy because you run out of energy on one use of that ability. But there you go, you can use a third ability and they're all dead. And then, again, you just take down his health again, more enemies spawn, and then once more. Rinse and repeat, it's really simple. It's all you need to do. You shouldn't really take much damage either because the enemies don't do much damage here. But it's just whittling down his health. And then once you've done the second phase, you can just fully kill him from that point. After you complete this, you've then basically completed the tutorial quests, which is where Warframe gets confusing, because from this point onwards, it just throws you into the deep end. It doesn't explain anything more after that, so I'd recommend just slowly working through the quests, get into junctions. Again, I will show you how to do all this. I won't just leave you in the dark. But it's really simple. Again, keep an eye out for containers, lockers. Also kill enemies that you come across, because weapon levels are really needed early game. So just kill as many as you can. You might feel like you're going really slowly, but it's going to go even slower if you just don't kill enemies. So focus on loot and leveling up while also trying to work your way through a mission semi-decently fast. And we will wait. There is another part, so there's a couple missions we complete on Earth to get to the junction, and then after we've done the junction, you will get a blueprint for what's called Taxon, which I will show you now. I'm doing this in a slightly backwards order, but we're going to roll with it because I hate taking more than one take. So I will skip back in a minute, but this is Taxon. You will be shown this after completing the junction, which we will go back and look at. If you have been collecting resources, like I told you to keep an eye out for, you will have the new roads to craft him. If not, you're going to have to go back to Earth and destroy some containers to find some new roads. But I'd advise getting him crafted as soon as possible because they are really useful for picking up loot later on in the game. We'll go back now to the junction and I will show you what to do and how to do it. Before you do the junction, I'd recommend buying the Bratton like I have here, and you won't be able to mod much of it, so maybe do a couple missions just to get at least the damage mod on it to make it a bit more useful. But you kind of want to get rid of that Mark 1 Bratton as soon as possible. If you want to sell it to give yourself more weapon slots, you can. I'll explain weapon slots in the future, not in this video. But basically you have like a minimum amount of weapon slots you can buy more with plat. But if you want to just get rid of a weapon instead of spending plat, you can do that. So you can always just sell your Mark 1 Bratton. A rule of thumb is to not sell a weapon until it's max rank, which is 30 for like 90% of weapons in the game. But since the Mark 1 weapons can be bought with credits and leveled somewhat fast end game, you can just sell those because you really don't need to keep them if you don't want to. We'll go on to the junction now, and I will show you how to complete it. Okay, so just before you do the junction, make sure to top up all your mods, make sure all your weapons have got as many mods as possible. You, for the most part, just equip any mod you can. Do the damage mods first, and then any fire rate or attack speed mods after, and then Warframe, just focus on health and shield. To do this junction, there is requirements. If you hover over the junction, it will show you the requirements. One of the requirements being you need to equip 4 mods onto a single weapon or Warframe, which is why you'll see me just equip some random mods, and then unequip them and resort my mods. There you go, so apply 4 mods, which is also an achievement, but it will now unlock the junction for me because I've done that, so I can go back to putting on my good shield mod, my good health mod, and my ability duration mod. Warframe ability mods at this level don't really matter. If you can fit them on, put them on, but focus on health and shield for the meantime, because your abilities, you kind of use them once, then you run out of energy for most of the mission, to be honest. You don't really have any way to regen energy this early game, so just focus on health and shield. But now we have the junction, so you will see a quick hint of it. If I hover over it, it will tell you the kind of requirements you need. Again, you'll hover over it and it'll tell you specifically what you need rather than obviously what I need. So just work towards those and then you can do this junction. All you need to do is walk up to this console, interact with it, it'll spawn the Spectre for the person you need to fight, in this case it's Vault. And then it's literally as simple as just shooting them until they die. Obviously as you get further through the game, junctions get harder. And each Warframe have their own abilities. So there is the next one after this one. To get you from Venus to Mercury, you have to fight Rhino. He has an ability that basically just gives him armor over his health, so you need to take down all of his armor before you can take down his health. So you'll see me, I'm kind of trying to break the game a bit, hide behind an object, and because you're in third person, you can kind of third person peek a corner. But all you need to do is kind of try keep cover and just shoot them until they die. Because we've got such low leveled, very bad weapons, it will take a while, but once we get up a couple master ranks, we can buy some new weapons and become a lot stronger. Just takes a couple more shots, kill him, and then we'll activate the junction. And then from there, we've unlocked Venus. After you killed Captain Vor, there is no longer a quest line to follow of sorts. So your best bet is actually to follow the junctions, work through the junctions. And you'll see that some junctions will require you to complete like a quest in order to get to that junction or get to the next planet. Normally, that quest is a main storyline quest, so just do that. You will have other quests build up, don't worry about them for the meantime. When you get bored of working through the planet, you can always turn and do one of those quests. But for the meantime, just kind of focus on getting to each junction, going, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, working through the junction, unlocking the requirements for it. Now that you've completed the junction and unlocked your way to Venus, you should now see that you might have a mastery rank up. I'd recommend doing these as soon as you can. The first few, I'd say the first 4 or 5, maybe 6, are pretty easy. It's just killing enemies or hacking consoles. In this case, it's running around with your primary weapon and shooting people. I recommend doing these as much as you can. You can only do up to 1 a day. That includes failing or passing. So if you pass it, you can't do another one for 24 hours. If you fail it, you've got to wait 24 hours before you can take it again. But I still recommend doing them as soon as possible, because it's, rather than it being a day, so like resetting at 1 in the morning, it's the 24-hour time cycle. So it's exactly 24 hours from when you completed it that you can do another one. So I'd recommend completing it as soon as possible. Doing these will help you look cooler. No, I'm joking. People tend to look at Mastery Rank as being, in terms of skill, how good someone is at the game. It means nothing like that. I've seen Mastery Rank 18 players better than the max rank Mastery Rank players at the current moment. So trust me, it does not equate to skill at all. It's simply to help you get better things in the game and to progress through the game. So if we can rank it up really fast early game, we can get better weapons, and it'll help us 10 times better in the late game. Next, we just simply work through planets. So we look at the junction, see what we need to complete, look at the mission names, find a mission you need to work towards, and work towards it. It's as simple as that. So you literally just need to work through the missions now. You shouldn't really, I'd say the only time you'll really struggle at a mission is when you get to a certain mission where you need to push an objective using your shield. I think they're called assault missions. I don't think you find one of those until Mars, I believe. Could be Phobos. Either way, you won't reach one for a little while. But you just need to, basically it takes your shield to push the objective. When you run out of shield, the objective stops moving, so you need to run away from the objective, recharge your shield, and then push it again. The problem is, because you're obviously a low level and the enemies are starting to ramp up in level, it can get a bit harder. So you shouldn't really struggle before that. If you are struggling, check your mods, make sure you've got damage mods on, make sure you've got health and shield mods on your Warframe. And just take your time. Most of the missions don't require rushing. The only mission you really need to worry about are defense and mobile defense missions, because they have health bars. The rest of them you can take your time with them. Don't rush anything, and you'll get there before you know it. But we'll skip through most of me farming through these missions. I will show you the boss fight on this planet, show you how to do it, and then we can move on to Mercury, and I will show you the boss fight on that planet, because again, it's just working through the planet. Alright, so next we have the boss fight on this planet. His name is the Jackal. He's a big four-legged robot. It'll take a little bit of time to hurt him. So the first two phases aren't too hard. So you basically just shoot his legs until you take down the health bar, and then you'll float up in the sky and shoot giant lasers. The first two phases are easy because the two front legs are easy to hit, but when you get to the second two phases, you've got to hit the back legs, which can be a bit of a pain because he doesn't turn around. When these lasers spawn, you simply just want to stay near the middle of them. And then, if you can time it right, you can jump and aim glide, and that slam down won't knock you fucking to Mars. So, if you can jump, aim glide, wait for him to slam the ground, and then you just walk up to him and interact with him. On PC, it's X. On console, I could not tell you what button it is, to be completely honest with you. But you just walk up to him and interact him after that, and then he goes to the next phase, and you basically just rinse and repeat. So, take down another leg. Wait for him to float up in the air. If he doesn't stop fucking me. You may die. You do get 4 revives, so don't worry if you die. It's not a big problem. In these phases onwards, he will spin for a bit, stop, and then swap the opposite direction. So you've got to keep an eye out for that. It will swap. Just stay kind of near the middle, because it's the easiest place to be. And then again, if you time it right, you can jump, aim glide, and then you'll slam, and he won't send you across the room. So you just need to do that 4 times is all it is. The higher in the phases you get, the more times you'll stop and spin. So he does it once on the first phase, twice on the second, and then 3 times on the third and fourth. But obviously the second and third ones he swaps direction each time he spins again. So this is where it gets a bit harder, because you need to be able to hit the legs. Your fourth ability can come in handy. It's kind of hard to hit the shots with it, but it can hit him if you're accurate. And as you see, I have died, so there's nothing. You will die. Chances are you will die. There's nothing wrong with dying. It's early game. It's to be expected. But just take down the legs, kill him, and then you'll be good to go from there. And then just carry on working towards the junction. We'll move on to the Mercury boss next, and I will show you how to kill him as well. Here's the Mercury boss fight. Again, you just work through the planet, you get to the mission it tells you to get to. You don't even actually have to do this boss, I just did it, but you might recognize this boss. because for some reason they make you fight him once and then make you fight him again right after. But it's exactly the same concept. Kill him 3 times, kill his goons, and then you're good to go. After this, you will basically be able to do the junction to get to Mars. There's a couple other things you'll have to do, requirements, but again, you can just watch them and see for yourself. Now that you're out of the boss fight mission, you'll see that if we go to the Mars junction, all we had to do was complete the Suse mission on Mercury, which is the one before the boss fight, but you may as well do the boss fight. But we still need to kill some more Frontier Grenier and complete a quest, which you will go to your codex to do. We'll cover all this in the next video. This was just a basic one to get you from Earth to Mercury. What you will want to do though is check your foundry, make sure you've crafted all the weapons that you can craft, and then anything else in there that you might want to craft, just craft it. Check your mods as well, make sure you've got as many mods on as you can. Again, having a mod on is better than not having a mod on, so if you're not sure if it's useful but you have the space for it, just throw it on, it's not a problem. You don't have to worry much about building your weapons properly until you get a bit further through the game. For now, just throw on anything you've got. And then after that, you're good to go. We'll quickly check the foundry. So your Taxon's already crafting. You'll get some blueprints for other weapons from doing junctions and stuff. And you will also get, especially from the Jackal, you'll get parts for a Warframe called Rhino, which we will probably also farm next time. So Rhino is a tanky frame, and all of his parts obviously drop from the Jackal. But here, just check for any weapons you can craft. If you can craft them, I'd advise crafting them. It's good to have as many weapons as possible. But that's the basic ins and out of how to start off your game. As I say, I will be making this into a kind of series. I'll probably put it into a playlist and just post the playlist into the server. I'll figure out how to do it when I have time. But for now, this is the first video of many. I won't be doing them often. It'll be once every now and then when I have some free time to make a video, because I've got other things going on at the same time. But I want to thank you all for watching. As always, if you have absolutely any questions, you can always ping me in the Discord. And I can answer anything you need, to be honest. If you have anything you want me to cover in later videos, again, just ask. I will cover them. This video, as I say, won't apply to most people. It will only apply to a select few that are still very early game. But if you stick along, the videos later on will apply to you and they will help you in the future if you need them. But thank you all very much for watching, guys. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.